Hey guys, and welcome back to, well, it's either Share Your Grin or Let's Talk. Probably more of a Share Your Grin, less of a channel update. Also, is this not bothering you as well? I don't know, it's a nice cup, but it's messing with the normal aesthetic. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, there are rumors, speculation if you will, about a game that's coming this E3. They're going to showcase it. This game is also one of my favorite games, if not maybe my absolute favorite game or franchise of all time. It has so much wonder. It's like my childhood's in there too. I feel like this is how certain people feel about Zelda. I just love everything about it. I don't think there's a bad game in the franchise. That's how much I like it. But ladies and gentlemen, you've already know what this is because it's in the title, maybe, probably. Fucking Fable 3 is gonna be, or Fable 4. Alright, yeah, Fable 4 is gonna be a thing, maybe. Or it is. Microsoft, I think way back when, already talked about how they're very interested in making another Fable game, and all that stuff, so we know it exists. We just don't know the speed in which we'll get it. And again, I really hope the designers and Microsoft don't do that thing where it's like, hey, we're gonna talk about this game at E3, but it's 3 years away, or even 2 years away. That would be really, really unfortunate. I hate that stuff. But what I don't hate is another Fable game. I'm a bit tired today, so forgive me as much as I'm like, this is my favorite game ever, and I'm just like, I'm just real tired today. I got plenty of sleep. I just woke up and I'm not even up, you know, the whole thing. Anyways, yeah, Microsoft a long time ago greenlit the whole project about Fable 2, or Fable 4, sorry. Another Fable game. After Fable Legends, was it? Already got tossed in the garbage, which is actually kind of unfortunate because it was actually a really cool idea. Where like it's a top-down versus game where the enemy is playing like a top-down kind of game, and then the other players are playing like a hero shooter, which is kind of awesome, but they never finished that, unfortunately. It's really unfortunate because again, I would love to see what that is. Anyways, how should I structure this? I should have wrote stuff down so I had some sort of beat for beat kind of thing. Basically, absolutely hyped about even the consideration that there's going to be another Fable because I love that franchise to pieces. I even think 3, which wasn't the best at all, but it was still fucking good, and it was still pretty ahead of its time in terms of what it was doing, and yeah, it also was pretty, what do you call it, like there's a lot of bugs because the systems itself could not handle the game at the time, but yeah, I don't know, I just really like the game, so if you don't like that, that's my perception. I'm just gonna keep riding this train of enjoying the games and talking about them and gushing about them, so if you don't like that, you can fuck off, please. Well, let's do what we did for Shadows of the Damned. Okay, so I've already explained that the game is most likely a possibility. I have not shown you guys any gameplay because we don't have any, but let's start with the worries that I have for the game. By the way, this is just a discussion more or less for the game. And just, if anyone who likes the game as well, tell me anything or reply back in the comments, you know, let me know what's going on. Anyways, honestly, as long as it has like the fundamentals of Fable, I don't care. If it has good and evil, that'd be wicked. Maybe they could add a third one, which is like the gray area, like neutral, except it actually be a thing. Like, you go left is good, right is evil, and then center is black and white, like neutral, but neutral actually being a thing, where like maybe when you're neutral, you're like this weird, there's some sort of evolution to you. Maybe you have a little bit of blue in your skin and a little bit of red in your skin. Now you might be like, what, Grin? For those of you guys who haven't played Fable, at least Fable 2 more than 1, weirdly enough. Well, no, 3. It's all about morality, really. A morality in a really bonkers London era kind of world, and it's awesome, but the choices that you make are kind of black and white, where there's a good and then there's an evil, and when you do evil things, your character starts to manifest evil traits like devil horns, and in Fable 3 you got like these black tar kind of wings, which was awesome. And then if you were good, your skin glowed and you had like this beautiful engraving in your skin itself. And you were titled a hero. And when you walked like you were this beacon of light, like All Might in My Hero. And you had these beautiful angel wings in Fable 3. And it was a whole thing. It was basically like the whole crutch of the Fable games is, will you be a hero or will you be a villain? which one will you be? And the world will, you know, react to whichever you will be. And it always had like these really cool undertones, like what do you call it? The game money is kind of weirdly good and bad in a way, especially in 3. Like 3 actually did something that I thought was really clever in terms of the story, which was you can choose every right or good, kind, heroic answer or choice, but you'll still get the worst possible ending to that game because being good isn't enough, which is really interesting. So if you wanted the good ending to Fable 3, you needed to not only choose every good outcome, or just most of the good outcomes, and then grind your ass off in every city and every location, and then pump your treasury, which was your kingdom's treasury, full of money so that you could defend your kingdom. Because it was kind of like this weird battle of like, okay, yes, you're choosing to not tax your people, you're choosing not to like execute these rebels, you're choosing not to do all these things, but in that same sense, these rebels are taking your money, and you not cracking down on them is just going to perpetuate that. You not taxing your citizens is gonna lower the treasury, and you're not going to have any money to defend the kingdom that you're being a hero of, you know? So the argument is, to be a hero, I think, is way, way, way harder. Or not even to be a hero, to be good, and to be a good ruler is impossibly hard in that game. Well, not really. You just gotta, you know, do all the side quests, get all the money, and then push all that money into your treasury so you can make up for the deficit, I guess. But man, I could talk about Fable for hours. Also, I just love the dog. That's another thing. I just love dogs to pieces, so that's always been a wonderful thing. I still stand by my choice in Fable 2, as a young man, by the way. When I first played Fable 2, when I got to the end of that game, I realized what kind of a person I was, which was, do you want to resurrect all the fallen soldiers that have died in this conflict, and whatever? And you're like, okay. And then the dude's like, but then the other choice is to be a millionaire. Okay, then the other choice is to revive your dog, which stood by your side when you were broken and you fell out of a goddamn 1,000,000-foot drop house, whatever. That was a jumbled sentence. But, and on top of that, moments from when I'm talking to you, just ate a bullet for your ass. What are you gonna do? Kill everybody, just save the dog, everybody can die. I don't give a single shit about anything, just revive my best friend, we can get money together. Dog survived, 0 out of 10. Whenever I see gameplay of someone at the end of Fable in New Game Plus or Endgames like stuff, and their dog's not there, I want to throw punch them, because I think, how dare you, how fucking dare you. Listen, I'm sorry, it just jumped out of me, but really, what kind of a monster are you? Fable 3, or 4, Fable 4. Worries about it. Basically, I don't know, that turned into me gushing about Fable, which was lovely. I enjoyed that. I just reminiscing about such a fantastic game, Fable 2. The thing that I'm truly worried when it comes to Fable 4, or the next game, whatever it's going to be called, is that it's not head up by the original people that have made Fable. And Fable is more than just the good choices and you becoming monstrous or you becoming heroic or anything like that. It's like very subliminal, whether it be the orchestra that just comes alive when you're moving through this world that makes you feel like you're in this heroic or very desperate, terrible town, you know, whatever it is. The goofy characters, the subliminal plot that means more than anything else, these quests that are both goofy and charming and all these things. To me, it's worrisome having another developer work on it that's not the original Fable team. Now, that being said, the people who are working on it, I believe, are weirdly enough the people who have made Forza. But with that being said, I feel like people need to be more chill about that, because there's plenty of people that plenty of game developers who have went into this direction of like making a brand new game that is completely outside of their comfort zone and have done really well. Horizon Zero Dawn being one of those games, and like thousands of others. I guess it depends on like if a developer like acknowledges that this is going to be a brand new thing and they're sticking their neck out for this brand new project. We cannot fuck it up and we need to take it seriously, then yes, then great things can come out of that, Also, one of the things I wanted to do was if I just lower this down a tad, hey, you can kind of see the grooves inside of it. That's fine, let's just turn it on. I wanted you guys to see the little bits inside, which I can, but you can't because of lighting or camera. Weird eye over there with your fucked nature and all these things. So yes, it can be done. I don't think there's anyone disparaging that a developer can't make something that's outside of their comfort zone. And especially, I don't think that Microsoft was just like, you make it. You guys just make this game. I don't think they would do that. I think they'd probably be like, anybody want to make Fable? And I would hope that a lot of people in the game industry would be like, fuck yeah. Because I know so many people that Fable is like magic to them. Like, because it was, you know, I think it's because it has a similar beat to like games like Zelda, because of like the orchestra and you're wandering around this impossible world. And there's so many things about it that are just brilliant and lovely. And everyone has their own kind of memories in there, whether you're being a bad guy doing these bad things and you have this goofy moment where, like, I don't know, you kill your wife or something terrible, but then this other person came up to you and was like, oh my god, but then she loved it because she was a psychopath or something, and it was this weird, really weird thing. Or if you're a person who played the good guy and loved the fact that you went from being this kid who was basically broken to a hero with a wife, a family, a kid, and all the whole 9 yards, and having so many goofy adventures all the while. Yeah, I don't really have many worries about the game until we see it. Yeah, like that's the big thing. My worries are if the things that aren't in the previous games, if they're not there. So let's do that. Let's move away from what I'm worried about the game and what I would love for the game. So Fable 4 Wishlist part of the video. To me, Fable did one thing better than it's a lot of things better than a lot of games. But one of the things that I think Fable is severely undervalued for doing, I'm sure it's done in other games and whatever, but anyways, one of the things that Fable did is handle money, especially Fable 3, Fable 2 as well, but Fable 3 handled money in an incredibly clever way. And I to this day, I still so deeply wish that other games would do this. Other games like any open world game with towns or anything like that would do this. But Fable did this thing where you could go. Almost every playthrough of Fable, you get to a town, and after you're in a comfortable place, like maybe you're 2 hours in and you've kind of gotten through all the tutorial stuff, you immediately hard break to any sort of job, any sort of like brute force, stupid job, like making pies or chopping wood or whatever it is. And it's just this mini game of hitting X and whatnot, just to give yourself a couple dollars. Now, there's two types of players. People who will do this and go buy armor. People who will do this and go buy a weapon. But then there's other people who are like, wait, what is that thing right beside the store? Oh shit, it says buy store. And for how much money? Oh, I'm like $3,000 away. Fuck it, I'll go get that store. So then you go and make pies for another 2 hours, and then you buy that store. And then over the course of your adventuring, you accumulate money every, I don't know what it is, 2 hours. And they're like, here's your cut of our business. And then a smarter player, or it's just a normal player at this point, I think everybody does this, you'll be like, great, all this money, buy this store, buy this store, buy this store, and buy this store. And that will be the thing you perpetuate until you have a town. And then you're making money. You're making money consistently, and everything's just feeding into itself, where you're getting stronger, you're increasing your notoriety by being a hero or a villain, as well as in the back burner, you're just getting tons and tons of money. And again, if you're clever, you'll never spend any of that money outside of just buying more property so that you can basically attain more money. This is a crazy system, but it was one of the best ways of generating money, because like unlike a game like Fallout, for instance, any of the Fallout games, I personally hate when, like, if you were to find out how many hours of your game time was dedicated to inventory managing and like trying to find out, oh, I'm gonna pick up, like, if you're playing Fallout, I'm gonna pick up like 7 pistols, AP pistols or whatever, and then I'm gonna sell them. but you're spending all that time looking through your inventory. Oh, I'm over encumbered. I gotta drop this lesser valued item so that I can take this back. It's just a bunch of nonsense, and it sucks. And it's all for the veil of what? Getting some money, and it's done in a way that is like negative to your gaming experience, whereas Fable wasn't. Fable was just like, hey, you buy this prop, and it made sense as well. You're a hero, you're a person. Why is it out of the question that you buy this location, this blacksmith, and he'll give you a tiny or a giant cut, depending on what your karma level is, or whatever you set the money thing for it is. And also, based on how much money you're taxing from the people, the store will either become a nice, very bright place, or like a very dark, no one can buy anything because you're basically Scrooge. And yeah, but that was one of the things I think Fable did so painfully well compared to any other game, was handling the economy and the money of games incredibly well. Now, the other thing that I really, really want from Fable is a deeper skill tree. I feel like Fable 2 had a really good start, and then Fable 3 lost almost all of the progression, and it changed it instead to be like this evolving weapons kind of thing, which is cool in theory, but to take away the whole like invest in strength, invest in magic, invest in all these things, it was kind of weird. But one of the problems that happened specifically in Fable 2 with magic is magic was really, really awesome in Fable. You could like charge, you could slow down time, you could like teleport, because you basically cut through time itself. You could summon forth a bunch of dead enemies just to rip apart your other enemies. You could throw a fireball at someone's face. You could throw a lightning ball at someone's face. You could, I don't know, call a meteor down or something. I don't know, it's crazy shit. Crazy shit. But it was a huge oversight that it was almost impossible to play mage in Fable. Reason why is because it took you a decade to charge your spell. So you could go down the magic skill tree to say if you wanted, I don't know, like say a summon ability. You'd spend like, I don't know, a ton of points to eventually level up to like the 5th tier of that spell, but then you're sitting there charging for a decade and you're screwed. Like there's no way you can charge this fast enough before an enemy comes and just smacks you in the mouth and knocks you out of it. So that was a huge undersight. But one of the cooler things though was if you got really, really invested into magic. So I think it worked in Fable. It was like Fable was actually ahead of Skyrim in the sense of whatever enemy died, in whichever way, gave you orbs that were that proficiency based on all of the types of abilities that exist in the game, like strength, guns, which is dexterity, magic, and health. So based on what you killed an enemy in, you would get these points. Awesome system. So if you just use magic a lot, even just the like level 1 spell, just throwing it at somebody, it was amazing because your character, because that's the whole part of Fable, which was awesome, is your character would mutate almost. So if you were a mage in Fable, you had like veins that glowed just bright blue. Maybe red if you were an evil wizard, whatever. But needless to say, that was so wicked that your character is basically this glowing neon like magic. The brightest magic is running through your veins. It's just awesome. It's so cool. So that was something that's a big wish that I hope exists in the future games. Is I hope dearly that magic is I hope we go back to Fable 2 in terms of like the RPG. You can level up strength. And when you level up strength, your character physically gets ripped. That was pretty cool too. You level up dexterity. I don't know, your character gets more cunning. I don't know what changed when you added dexterity. I don't know anyone who really used guns in Fable games, honestly, because they weren't that great. Anyways, point being, I really hope they go more in that direction so that you can get more things. Like, again, maybe instead of there just being a mage ability that just increases the levels in which you can charge your ability, instead increase the rate in which you can charge and the damage in which you can inflict, and maybe the passives that come along with those said things. That'd be great. Because yeah, and honestly, just the world, I really, that's my only worrisome thing as well, is that I want to say I trust them to make a Fable world, but this is not the original team that's made it. But then again, I think if they're fans of the series and that they know what made the world so beautiful and so interactive and meaningful, then I think they'll do fine. on making that world. But yeah, man, I don't even know what else besides. I think it'd be cool to have like a third playthrough option. So instead of being evil or good, you're both. And instead of going to the left or to the right, you just go upwards, and you're this weird like gray area. So maybe you have like aspects of, maybe you have like one horn and one like half of your face is engraved with this heroic thing because you're in the middle. That'd be really cool, because Fable 3 it touched on that as well. Fable 3, I always remember I always did one bad choice and then all good. Because one of those bad choices is at the beginning of the game, where you actually choose between the love of your life or a bunch of protesters, basically. And you can find your love of your life again in the story eventually. So for me, I was always like, oh, well, first of all, no. Again, we've already established this, where if there's a person that I care about, I'm choosing them. You know the story where it's just like, oh, there's 2 railroad tracks, and there's a train coming, and then there's one person, and then there's 5 people, and then but that one person is anybody you care about. Boom, the other people, the people immediately. I'm sorry, I'm just this way. Anyways, yeah, man. All this video is just me being like, I love Fable so much. It's such a good series, man. So good. Hopefully, you guys hopefully you guys can have whatever opinion you want. It doesn't take away from how much I love the game. But, yeah, I just don't hear a lot of people talking about Fable. And I think it just, whew, so good. So good. But that's the thing. I don't know. What do you guys think they would do? Because as of the story-wise, it made sense, the progression of Fable, where Fable 1, you're like this guppy of a character that's just trying to like beat this big bad villain, which was cool, but kind of like, meh, that's not what people I think liked about the game. And then Fable 2 was, I think, the best. I think that's one that everybody loved and everyone thought was like super ahead of its time and just amazing. But I'm pretty sure that one was about like a kind of a story of revenge in a sense, or yeah, because you're basically trying to take down this person that killed your sister, but also trying to complete a prophecy in a weird way. And when you get to the end of the game, you basically win, and you get access to this beautiful sound box or music box. But then the escalation for that game was clear, which was, okay, well, instead of you just kind of beating this big bad guy and then moving on, how about instead you become a king? And you basically are the ruler of this land, and you're going to make the choices of good and bad for your people and whatnot. And to me, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's like a proper progression. But then what would Fable 3 be? Or 4, sorry. Would it be like a harkening back to what worked? Because a lot of people didn't really care for Fable 3 as much. I don't think it's a bad game, but I think a lot of people could at least agree that it wasn't on par for number 2. Which I agree with, because of the lack of content. Like, it very much felt like it was for a lower audience, like a person that doesn't want to mess around with skill trees and stuff like that, which makes sense. But also nobody, I guess, wanted as well. Anyways, yeah, I'm wondering where it will go, because it's been such a long time since we've had a Fable. Potentially they may just be being like, oh, let's just go back to ground one. Let's just start you as a little guppy in a big old world where you're gonna either become a hero or a villain. Although I do like the pretext of the stories about how they're like, hey, in Fable 2, you're like this little kid with his big sister who are poor as hell, and then this guy invites you into your home and feeds you, but then shoots your sister and shoots you through a window, and you're barely alive when this kind of seer-like person raises you and sets you on your way. That to me is really, really amazing, where like it gives you direction, it gives you reason. And same thing with Fable 3. The way those games start always make so much sense to me, and so much they get me invested in the game so much right off the cuff. So, and that was something that I didn't feel in Fable 1. Where in Fable 1 it very much felt like it was like, okay, sure, I guess, you know? Maybe that's just fucked up in me, but I don't know. I may be mistaken, but wasn't there a thing in Fable... Was it Fable 2 or Fable 1? I think in Fable 3, it hints that your father is you're the son of the previous guy, if that makes sense. So you're Little Sparrow's kid, I think. I'm not sure about that, but... So maybe they'll continue that? I don't know, man. I honestly... Because to me, I want to be like... They could do this, but I'm just like, I don't know, because I really would hope it wouldn't be Fable 1. Where Fable 1 was basically, again, you're just like, I think you're like, your town gets pillaged and you're just kind of, I don't even know. I don't remember it all, but I don't think it was that memorable as Fable 2, where you get like chucked out a window and shit. And yeah, you get like nursed back to health alongside your pup. And it's a whole thing. I don't know. I don't know how it would, like, story-wise. I have no idea how it would even be. I would love if they kept the whole conquest ability of the game. Like, maybe instead of like you being in a palace, maybe you're just conquering like a place filled with bandits and a bunch of bad people, and instead you're making your own little notoriety. That'd be cool too. But again, the biggest thing that I would want from Fable is I want them to keep all the things that they were in Fable 2 would be a big one, but the main thing would be for them to actually have viable skills. Like, again, to be able, like in Fable 2, you could use magic, and magic, you could upgrade magic and you can make it even crazier. But instead, they just make it so that it takes 10 years to charge a spell, and it kind of just makes magic redundant up until a point, you know? So I'd really like them to like make every kind of thing. If you want to use guns, that's applicable. If you want to use magic only, that's applicable. If you want to use swords only, that's applicable. Boom, 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 boom. I would love all that. Also, please, please, please keep the changing of your appearance based on what you invest in, because that adds so much replayability. If you want to be like, I wonder what happens if I'm a warrior and you're just yoked to beyond belief, or if you're a magic person and your veins are literally glowing with like energy, that's fucking awesome. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. it's just who I am, I guess. But yeah, but potentially we're seeing this at E3. The reason why is because I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but a streaming service or something that is owned by Microsoft set Fable 4 or something as a streaming game. So that's why would that even be in the database if that wasn't a thing? So yeah, but the question is we already knew that game was in development for a plethora of reasons, but is it going to be shown at this year's E3? People think so because Microsoft has hinted at a giant IP, and the Fable series has been a giant IP for them, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I cannot wait till this year's E3. By the way, damn it, I should have mentioned this. Fuck. We always stream over at twitch.tv whilst E3 is going on. We've been doing that. We did this last year, and I want to do that again this year because it was just a blast and a half to sit back and get excited with you guys and just be like, oh my god, I cannot wait. So that is what that's gonna be over at Twitch. But I'll be sure to let you guys know well in advance when we're doing that. But I cannot wait. E3 is coming ever closer, and I cannot wait. But subscribe button beside me, 2 videos to my far right. Thank you again for your time. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. And goodbye.